came into the islands to fish, and that was just 4 days ago. And Kevin Sayers had a 45-pound halibut on a fly line sardine at the ribbon kill. So, I just have a few comments to talk about rigs deal. Obviously, if you're going to try to get a tank of squid 3 or 4 days ahead of time. The other important thing is, I don't know what the moon phase is for when your tournament starts. So 3 or 4 days ahead of time, go out at night, the right spots or the spots you think they're at, anchor up, light up, and give it about an hour. If you aren't catching some squid by then, you should be moving. So that's something you can think about. That if you've got a bright moon, it's going to be a lot tougher. That's something to keep in mind. And the other thing is you know, I heard one gentleman say, big bait, big fish. That holds true with everything. That's obviously squid is an exception, but everything will leave squid. Whitefish, everything. So you can go through a lot of squid. All right, so let's talk about the tournament before I talk about long range big fish, let's talk about the tournament for bluefin. Right now, there are fish on the backside of Catalina and up toward the west end, but most of the big schools are up toward the west end of Clemente, around Target Rock. So if you have that boat that can make that distance, daytime is some pretty good fishing. And obviously the best fishing on big fish is on the kite. Okay? Now, you know, there's no doubt in our long trips, we will catch sometimes 150 to 200 flyers a night. And we keep them alive. And there's a secret to keep them alive, and that is if you put flyers in a bait tank, they always want to come to the surface. And they die eventually. They beat themselves up. If you have something to push them down into the water, then they will stay down in the tank and keep swimming. And I guarantee you, you put a live flyer out there over a dead flyer, your chances are increasing by 150%. Okay? And where would you get the live flyer? In the Bay of Clemente, on your way up.
How?
How? With a net, scoop.
Yeah.
Available at Fisherman's Landing Tackle.
Just saying.
Yeah, just.
I'm sorry. I thought I read the 10% discount.
You got it, buddy.
I thought that was illegal.
I
I don't know. I hear you.
So, this morning the Supreme came in, and I met Aliar, I usually do, and I had him give me one of his kite rigs. So, you know, he personally, on all the boat rigs, they use 130-pound Spectra with 200-pound fluoro as the top shot, okay, for your leader. And your rig is this one. This happens to be a 5.0 Stinger hook, and this is a 7691. Is that the correct number? 7691 14.0. Okay. Personally, we find on the long trips that we lose quite a few fish on the 7691. They unbutton, and we use a 20-aught circle. Okay. On the other hand, I can't, you know, it seems like one boat has 10 fish on the kite, Aliar has 21, 22, 23, and the same goes for Gal. So there's something to be said. So you put that kite bait out there, and whether, you know, the most important thing is to make it look as natural as possible, right? But the big thing is, first of all, before you decide you're going to go Clemente and kite fish, you might want to look at the weather. Because if you don't have wind, it's going to be really tough to fly a kite. If you can try to control it, that can be difficult. So, the most important thing, and Aliar will tell you, is you don't put a kite bait out and turn your back and go wandering around. That kite bait needs to be on the surface. If there's a swell and it goes down 8, 10, 12 inches, you're showing them everything. You're showing them the treble hook, the big hook, 200-pound leader, the whole bit. You've got to keep it on the surface. There's got to be a guy on that reel, winding it in, taking it down. And this BS about putting a balloon above it, fish aren't stupid. We learned that a long time ago. You can't have a balloon or a flag above it. You just got to have your binoculars or a guy with good eyes and moving that bait, keeping it right on the surface. Those are the best secrets I can tell you for fishing your bluefin. Daytime right now, it's pretty hard to get a big bluefin. There are a few. They're getting plenty of small ones, 25, 30 pounders, but a few big ones. And most of those are coming on a sinker rig, you know, 7 to 8 ounce sinker with a nose hook sardine. Okay, that's what's working locally. So, as I said earlier, I was asked to talk about big fish on long trips. Big fish for the Hihito Islands. It's a whole different ballgame. Okay? However, I think a lot of what I might say about how you fish big fish at the Hurricane Bank or Clarion will apply right here. There's no doubt in my mind. Starting with the rig, I would say you want something from a 50 to a 51, filled with 130-pound spectra and a short top shot of line. Okay? The shorter, the better if there's less wind. Why? You know, there's quite a few people that would prefer the 50 over the 51. And the reason for that is it's so much easier to handle. Okay? But when it's going to be, let's just say, if it's a kite rig, I would be using a 50 wide, no doubt in my mind. But if I'm fishing iron or bait at night, I'm going to be using probably a 50, just because it's easier to handle. However, I have watched one of our dear friends, I think many of you knew Mike Gogger over at Seaforth many years ago. Mike was on the boat, on the RP, and I watched a yellowfin eat his lure right next to the boat on a 50 wide, and he never even got to turn the handle. And it was filled with spectra. Never turned the handle till it's spooled. That was an unusual fish. Most of the time, you can stop it.
Just for reference, for fun's sake, that's almost 900 yards of line.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. You know, when you tell me bluefin fight as much as yellowfin, I beg to differ. They just don't. Okay? However, they can be damn tough. I've got some bluefin this year. I couldn't believe they were fighting head on. Okay? But yellowfin are mean. That's all there is to it. You're using a rig like that, I would say rod would probably be something like a 770 XH or a heavy duty rail rod. Okay? CalStar would be my preference. Drag, you know, I would say you would want to be able, if you can handle it. And remember, as Rollo always said, the rail is your friend. Okay? There's nothing wrong with using the rail. And all I can say is whine. Whine, 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 because those guys aren't stupid. They will turn and swim at you, and you will whine and you go, I told you I lost it. Frank, I lost the fish. Keep whining. Oh my God, here he is. Okay, not saying every time. You'd be amazed how long they'll swim toward the boat. Okay, and yellowfin will do the same thing. Daytime, I can give you several examples of guys using a 10 to 15-pound rainbow runner. Okay, and on a 16-ounce sinker. He had a 290, a huge rainbow rod. The thing was honestly that long, okay? Hooked in the neck of the neck. So, if you ever have a doubt about it, when the RP or the XL or somebody comes in with one of those big fish, you know, just go up and make sure you're wearing gloves. Pull that jaw apart. That jaw is bigger than a 5-gallon bucket. It's almost as big as a trash can. If you don't think they can get that big bait in, I got news for you. No problem. It sucks in there like a like a bluegill would on an 8-pound bass, okay? Now, on these, some of the things that we're starting to try on our long trips are, of course, the knife jig. I don't know why this shouldn't work. Over a PL68, and I know some guys have tried it. Has it become common? Not yet, but I know it has worked. Then the other thing is the Eddie ball. We have a guy on the Royal Players called Eddie. Eddie's been there at least 27, 28 years, and he's a very good fisherman. Kind of quiet. He always is creative. He creates different things, and he created the Eddie ball. And it was just a 16-ounce sinker, with a little bit of flashy tape on it.
On that Eddie bomb, are the assist hooks, you put them on the top or on the bottom?
On the hooks,
Yeah.
you know, Eddie likes them on the top, but he puts one on the bottom. Okay?
All
So-
single hook stingers or whatever, not the troubles.
Right. Thing I wanted to mention about fishing a big bait is it quite often will pay to cut one lobe of the tail. Okay? You know, they don't swim as far and as fast. So that quite often works. Like when I'm fishing grouper, like down on the ridge, and I use a yellowtail for bait for a big grouper, I always cut one lobe of the tail. Okay? And they swim fine, not nowhere near as fast, and the grouper get them much easier. So that's something we want to keep in mind. It's mainly more than anything, it's about the gear, making sure you have the right gear. Trying just about anything you want to try. Okay. But nighttime increases your odds much better than daytime. Okay. If I was on this tournament, I mean, this was interesting. I'm listening back there. I don't know what I'd do. If I had the right boat, I think I'd go for the big bluefin. If I didn't have the right boat, well, those Coronados sound awful good to me right now. 25 to 35 pound bluefin. There's yellowtail, 45 pound halibut I caught the other day. There's also white sea bass. And Rick gave you a real good pointer there about Imperial Beach kelp, Tijuana kelp. Tijuana kelp is what usually works very well on sea bass and some big yellowtail.
You know,
And I think that's about all I have to say. I could tell you a little story about a big fish.
Oh, no, please don't,
Some
Frank.
of you have probably heard it because I've told it on Let's Talk Hookup, but it's one of my favorites. There was a ball player named Rick that played for Atlanta Braves. He's a batting champion, and his son played for the Pirates. He just died recently of a heart attack.
Sean Burrows.
Burrows. Well, Jeff Burrows. He used to fish with us all the time. And he hooked a big fish. But about the same time, so did 2 other guys. And it didn't take long. And between the 3 guys, it just soon figured one fish ate all 3 baits.
Oh.
They're pigs. Believe me.
Which one had it?
It didn't take too long, but it took 5 gaffs to get the fish. So 3 guys have the fish. Well, there's that old rule, deepest hook gets the fish. Right. We don't believe in that. So we believe in the deck of cards. So the first guy threw a 3. Pretty long. Second guy threw a 3.
Shut up.
The third guy threw an 8. The story is, when we got to the dock, the fish weighed 338 pounds.
Thanks, Frank.